Shadow on the track. Rockstar type nigga, fucks bad bitch. In the drop cause I stay.
Welcome back, everyone. This is your boys at M.A.S Media. This is Big Mike.
And Aaron over here, what up?
All right, y'all. So now I think it is only appropriate for us to touch base on Christmas. All right, because as we all know, Christmas season is around the corner. Or I should say, Christmas, the day of Christmas, is around the corner. And we here at M.A.S Media couldn't help but feel like there are some jarring questions that need to be addressed when it comes to the nature of Christmas and all that is involved. So I thought it would be appropriate for us to take a couple, not a couple, but take this episode to sort of address those mind jarring questions that we usually have at the table with our loved ones, to kind of feel out, how we really do feel about Christmas, especially as we've gotten older. Because I can tell you, for one, it's definitely, my views on Christmas have certainly changed as I've grown more into adulthood, and I'm sure my co-host could say the same if I'm able to speak for him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so what I want to kind of do is get right into it. Especially during this pandemic, like how are you feeling this Christmas? Are you feeling Christmassy or in the holiday cheer?
Honestly, not really. One thing I will say is the older I get, the more I feel that these holidays just slip by. Like even my birthday, it's just, oh, it's your birthday. Oh shit, it's my birthday. Like, oh, okay. Oh, Christmas is here, and then it goes by. And then you just continue with whatever you have going on in your life. So, it's not the same, obviously, when you're a kid and, you can't sleep the nights leading up to Christmas and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But, I think that's pretty, I think it's pretty normal to go through that change. I'm not sure, but that's definitely me. That's where I'm at right now.
So let me ask, because I think maybe something that might be sort of numbing that whole experience, right, as we've gotten older, is the sort of appearance of a certain commercialization when it comes to Christmas season, and even other holidays like Halloween, Valentine's Day, and such, right? Because I know before we add money and things of that nature, we just kind of looked at it like, "Ooh, yay!" Like the lights and the fixtures and all this other stuff, right? But now that we have money, and that we have to, quote unquote, spend this money, it's just all of the commercials come out the wazoo. The Amazon discounts, the Walmart discounts, all these big name, industries are basically, jumping down my email track. I could say, for one, sending me all the latest discounts. Foot Locker, because I'm a sneakerhead. All these different places are sending out all these damn discounts, talking about, hey, make sure you get your order in so that way you can get it before Christmas Day and all that shit. It's to the point where I don't even look, like, over the last maybe 4 or 5 years, I just, send them shit straight to the trash, like, it's just like, it's so mind numbing, to say the least. So I would ask you, like, does that play a factor on sort of why you look at Christmas and other holidays that way?
No, that does not play a factor for me. But I will say, since you asked the question, I will say this about it, which obviously I've been thinking about lately, within the past year or so, is that, all the money that gets spent during these holidays, it pisses me off, not because of the holidays itself. It just pisses me off when you think about how much wealth of this country that the quote unquote black people don't control. But then every year, like clockwork, billions and upon billions of dollars get spent on these quote unquote holidays.
Right.
And it's just like, you're not spending them in your community with people that have businesses that look like you. You're going and you're giving it to Best Buy, you're giving it to Walmart, Amazon, and it's just lining their pockets. Jeff Bezos is getting richer and richer and richer. Nothing against him,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like, how about we, have that money stay in our communities for a little longer. Because we have the money. I don't want to hear that. Obviously, you have the freaking money every year. So that's my feelings about the commercialism. I don't have any resentment towards it as it pertains to. Does it change how I feel about the holidays? No, but it definitely shines a light on the lack of effort and emphasis that quote unquote black leaders out there put on accountability and ownership and actually turning the tide in our favor. So
That's a fair point. I mean, I think that's something that I think as I've gotten older as well, I definitely factor that the sort of the how do I sort of say this, the the melodramatic sort of ins and outs, right? The machine like nature of Christmas, right? Where it's just kind of like people just get plugged in and they just, it's like they can't help but get off this revolving you know wheel. I mean, I even say this
mm-hmm.
for even in my personal life with my family, my sister. Every Christmas, it doesn't matter what's going on with her. She feels a need to to go out and to buy presents, for everybody. And I'm just looking around. I'm like, and I don't know where it comes from because my mom is like outside of when we were kids. Because my mom hasn't bought us presents in years. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
that was more so just to like kind of. I guess she didn't want us to feel left out as kids. So we never were really subjected to the whole commercialization aspect of Christmas for the most part. I mean, if we wanted
Mm-hmm.
something, we probably weren't getting it. And if we really did want it, we probably would get it, 3 years after it was already new. Well, when everybody's already been playing it for, for a lifetime now. So, I mean, it's like, that this was just the nature of our family. We didn't really get hyped up on shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
And and I think that's, so when I look at her now and I'm just looking at how like both of them, both my little sisters, as I have three sisters in my family, one older and two younger, um, the two of them are just, they go crazy. They go absolutely crazy for Christmas, and they run around like chickens with their head, like doing the sneaking, like putting the stuff in their rooms, and so that way you can't see what they're getting and all sort of stuff. And I'm like, wow, like we've gotten so used to the fact that of the gifts and the giving and the happiness and quote unquote happiness, I should say, that it brings. And then I'm not, nothing to say against people who are genuine gift givers, right? But when I look at it now, it's just like, wow, like, you know as a people, we've completely, when Christmas was quote supposed to be created, I mean, it was supposed to be a day of complete thanks, at face
Mm-hmm.
value for those of your loved ones. I can only imagine where this whole gift giving notion, really came from. Obviously, I think it's the Three Kings aspect when they brought the gifts for Christ. Speak on on the Bible as you may, in that historical context. But I think that's kind of where that notion comes, where it's like you drop the gifts and all this other stuff. So I don't know. I for me, it's just it's lost on me. Am I saying that I wish I had that flair for gift giving, where it's like I get the happiness and the yay, I'm going to Toys R Us or I'm going to Best Buy and I'm doing all this, jumping around, going crazy like a chick. Do I wish I still had that sense, that portion of my humanity? Sure, but the majority of me just could really care less because I'd rather just live day to day and be in the moment,
Mm-hmm.
and just be appreciative of the fact that I woke up. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people can't say that, especially even at this minute right now that we're at. It's 7:04, p.m.
Yeah.
So that, I think that's kind of, I think my perspective on life has kind of warped how I see Christmas, and a lot of other holidays. Not even just to say Christmas in general. Um, so I think that's something that I've had to kind of sit back and think about as time has gone on.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that, like I said, I think that's pretty, normal, like on par with most people. When you're young, you're super naive. You know what I mean? And the world kind of revolves around you.
Mm-hmm.
And then, obviously when you grow, your mind changes, and your perspective changes. So I think it's pretty normal. For at least from where I stand, that people would have the change like you and I have. We look at it more in a more practical way. You know what I mean? As opposed to just all the lights and the glam. And I was at to say that I'm a Scrooge.
Right.
During the season. Like, no, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying, I haven't said Merry Christmas to anybody this year. I haven't said Happy Holidays,
Yeah.
unless they say it to me first. Then I'll say, oh wow, thank you. But I don't say it for a lot of reasons. First and foremost, not everyone celebrates Christmas.
Absolutely.
Number one, if I say Merry Christmas to somebody, and I might be or whatever.
Because we all know people jumping ship. People jumping from that ship.
Yeah. So I really, and I don't care enough about it.
Right.
Like, again, I'm not a child. I'm not an adolescent. I'm a grown man, and I'm doing grown man things, and Christmas just is not on that on my list right now. It's
right.
I respect the people that want to I almost said cherish it. I respect the people that want to almost said worship it. What was wrong with my brain today? I respect the people that want to celebrate it, and actively practice it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, people know that I'm fairly like libertarian when it comes to what people do and shit like that. So people want to celebrate it, knock yourself out. People want to celebrate Kwanzaa. I think that's funny, but knock yourself out. Yeah. People want to celebrate Hanukkah. Knock yourself out. Whatever the hell you want to celebrate for whatever reason, knock yourself out. If you're a Wiccan and you want to celebrate, the Wiccan holidays, by all means, do it. I'm not going to stop you, but I'm just not, out there on the front lines like, where's your Christmas spirit? You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, man, that ain't me.
Right. And I think that raises a fair point. I mean, another interesting question that I've sort of been seeing when it comes to the holiday season, and being that you're such a huge proponent of Kwanzaa, I definitely would want. So I couldn't even get that. So I couldn't.
Wow. Yeah.
Sorry, I couldn't help it. Oh shit. Ooh, that felt good. But yes, as I was saying before I interrupted myself, being that you are such a huge champion of Kwanzaa, when you look at Kwanzaa, damn, when you get to Kwanzaa and Hanukkah and all these different sort of holidays that other cultures celebrate during this time of year, do you believe that they all deserve their due time in the grand stage of mass media, right? Or do you think it's something that's sort of what's the word they use? Sort of apropos, right? Or insignificant.
All right. Well, I'll say insignificant, and it's insignificant for this reason.
Mm-hmm.
The majority rules. That's a saying that I'm sure everyone's heard before.
Right.
But people don't understand how real it is. And I think that's the problem, too, when people talk about racism and stuff like that. I did a video on YouTube the other day where I go way more into detail about that. But just to answer your question, no, it's insignificant because majority rules. And this is a majority Christian nation.
Right.
So, is it, oh, my God, they're trying to denigrate us, or they're trying to put us down or keep us down or oppress us because this is our holiday, yada, 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 and we don't get the commercial coverage. No, that's not the case at all. If you want to, go about that way, I'm sure you might be able to, if you start with your conclusion at the end and work backwards from that, I'm sure you can figure out some ways to say, hey, look at this, it makes sense. But no, that's not the reality. The reality is the majority are Christian.
Right.
So they're going to get the most, airplay, and that's fine. If you go to a Muslim country, I'm sure, Eid is going to be what they're celebrating, I'm not even sure if they really even or Ramadan.
Yeah.
Ramadan, that's around that time. So sorry to all our Muslims out there.
Yeah.
But, I'm sure they're not, if you go to one of those Middle Eastern countries or Muslim countries, that's going to be like the norm because that's the majority. So
Right.
whatever Christian population over there, I'm sure they're not going to be freaking hooting and hollering about, oh, well, Christmas doesn't get, like, no, that's not going to happen because they'll probably get beheaded too if they even tried that shit. You know what I'm saying? So no, it's apropos. I think that not for nothing. If say it was going to be something, from this way. First and foremost, the Old Testament came first. The Talmud and the other Jewish holy book. I can't think of the name right now. And then obviously the New Testament came out, which gave a way for Christianity as a whole. And then the Quran came out, all in that order. So if anything, obviously Hanukkah would supersede all of that because it was the first doctrine. So if you want to go chronologically, it would be Hanukkah, but it doesn't really matter anyway because we live in a Christian society,
Right. And I think that's why I believe that question is interesting at face value, simply for the fact that it brings upon the notion of not just with holidays, right, but just with many other things that people choose to celebrate or choose to the liberties that they choose to exude in this country, right? And I think it's because of the fact that this country is so quote unquote free in thinking, right? I think it has as time has gone on, it has brought people to this sense of, well, I'm always being left out, and for that, I think it's just like it's like I feel like sorry if I have to equate it to this notion, but it seems as though we're like children. I mean, like the people that are arguing or that are, because this is a point that is brought up in many circles about oh well, I don't see enough airtime for this, and I don't see enough airtime for that, and it's like, well, first of all, I'm sorry, but like, is this something that's really going to change the way you move about in your life? That'd be my first foremost question, and then my next question would be do you realize where you're living, right? Like this isn't the people that created this country didn't create it with that with the intent that people like yourself were going to be here. You know what I mean? Like they said what they said um sorry in the Constitution, or in the it's escaping me right now, but the other doctrine that they came out with when in 1776. But essentially, they when they were drawing the picture of what this nation is going to look like, essentially they just wanted to make sure that it was anybody else besides the British. You know what I'm saying? So and then first and foremost is taking care of that. But outside of that, they could really care less. What who was coming in with all this religious nonsense, because it was simply Christian. I don't want to say pagan, but it was simply Episcopal, sort of a religious based country. So if you're expecting that to, as you mentioned, if you're expecting that to change, simply off the fact that your feelings get hurt every time December comes around, I'd really want to ask you, like, what is your how shallow do you see life?
Yeah.
So that, and I think that's something that I think this is a bigger conversation in regards to the sense of entitlement that a lot of Americans have, because I guarantee this question is not coming up in Middle Eastern countries. It's not coming up in in African country and nations. It's not coming up in overseas in Europe. You know what I'm saying? Like they have other things to worry about besides what how is my thing how is my thing being portrayed to the masses, because again, they have a set of order, and they have been fulfilling that order for way longer than America has been in inception. And I think that's the thing too, is America is fairly young. I think people kind of forget that compared to many other nations. So I feel like we are this sort of like, I think that's why a lot of countries, while yes, they respect our power, so quote unquote, relatively from a historical perspective, they really don't really respect, the sort of breadth of our background, because it is so muddled, it is so sort of rangy and such a melting pot. There's not really much substance compared to many other nations. Just to speak of Britain at face value. I mean, Britain's been doing this for thousands of years. You know,
Yeah.
so and so I think that's the thing that I kind of see when with that a question like that, and I think that leads me to my next point. Because those figures, right? These figures that come out during the holidays, um, like Santa and Christ and all that. What has your perception been about these figures, or how have you seen these figures um, being portrayed during this season when as you've gotten older?
Well, the interesting thing about that question is that I've I've literally seen it from multiple perspectives, and now I'm literally like on the other side looking, and I see it on a three-dimensional level now. When I was younger, obviously, even watching Christmas movies, you see, Santa, or like people dress up as Santa. You see the baby Jesus
Uh huh.
all over in the movies with like the stable,
Absolutely.
with giving birth and stuff like that. Like that's huge around Christmas,
Mm-hmm.
and I always question that when I was younger, like what's with the baby Jesus and stuff like that, because we never talked about that in church.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, but anyway, as I got older and started to do more research and learn, now I know like the true story of what Christmas is about,
Mm-hmm.
and why baby Jesus is being portrayed around that time with the Mother Mary, and that's because, long story short, it's based off of like ancient mythology from like Babylon and ancient Kemet with Isis and Osiris, and obviously Mary is Isis, and then the baby Jesus is Haru and or Osiris, whoever you choose for him to be at that point,
Mm-hmm.
and is worshiping the divine mother and the divine child,
Right.
and
So
that's
you're
pretty
saying
much
it
that
has
story.
remnants in historical context in other areas of human history.
Well, yeah, and there's a lot of people out there that understand that the Bible is metaphorical
Correct.
in regard to what the Son, like when Jesus died and came back resurrected, is speaking about the Son itself.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously, the solstice is the 21st, and then the days get shorter, and then at that time, the people that literally worship the Son, they were like, wow, like he's the Son is our God is left, and then after the solstice, the sun comes back, and the days start to get longer and longer. So like that resurrection, quote unquote, is talking about the sun, and they use that for their ancient deities.
Right.
So again, like I said, but the same story goes from ancient Babylon, ancient Kemet, ancient Syria, ancient Samaria, even in the Asian countries. Everybody has their version of this whole thing happening, and ours just so happens to be the story of Jesus Christ.
Right. I like that. I mean, I think that's something that I sort of have sat back as well and sort of thought on. Not more so to that extent. I think it's more so about the power that exists in the story, right? And I think it's
Mm-hmm.
the way that the religions, right? Because this is why I'm not necessarily. I wouldn't say I was religious, right? Which is where I care much for the church and things of that nature. My mom would probably hate that that I say that, as I do go to church, right? And it's just to provide context. When I go to church, I don't really pay much attention to what the people are saying, because, as we all know, men are fallible. So it's like, if I don't really know a person's character, for you to be speaking something so that's supposed to be so pure, it's really hard for me to listen to it from the mouths of um, other human beings. So
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather take with it what I can, and then drown out everything else and allow myself silence. Right, so that way it gives me a space to sort of think and sort of draw back to what has gone on in that week that I had. And during Christmas time is sort of when it gets heightened even more so, right? Because as you mentioned, the nativity portion of it, the build up, the show. I remember when a little side memory, and this shit creeped the freak out of me. When I used to do, I don't know if you remember this, Aaron, but I used to do I used to go to Bible um, study on Sundays when I was in middle school. I used to go with Namdi, my cousin, who's a friend of Aaron's as well from our school. And every Sunday we go, and it was just, I'm sorry, Caucasian people, but we would go, and like honestly, we only really went because we were trying to play basketball, right? Because the school that the Bible sort of area we went to had a basketball court, so we really only went on Sundays. Hopefully my mom, doesn't listen to this episode, but we really only went, because we really wanted to play basketball. It was like that time where we'd be able to play, but we couldn't get to that until we went through like 30, 40 minutes of sitting down with these weird Caucasian people and having like these conversations about, the Bible and things like that. And I mean, this albino guy that I'll never forget was always talking about, like, saying words like full on awesome. And I can't wait to, like, who says full on awesome? Like, I've never, like, that shit creep me. And me and Nanny used to just look at each other with those looks that, and like in the movies where like they just, where something ain't right and something ain't sitting right. So like, this was the last day that I went to this Bible study thing at Nandy's church. We had it was the last week, right? I think it was a Sunday service before Christmas. So we had to do perform, right? We had to perform a nativity sort of portion. And for that portion, we had to walk down the aisles with like a candle, right? So to set the stage, like this shit was creepy, man. Like this shit was creepy as well. We walk in, me and Namdi walk into the church. Lights are all down. It's dark as hell in there, right? And we have to, and obviously the lights are lit in the front of the church, right? Because that's where the baby Jesus and the lambs and the Mother Mary and Joseph are surrounded around him. But we're walking up the aisle with candles, covering around our hands, and we're like, and we're singing, like, we had to sing this one line. It was like, do unto others as you would have them do unto me. Do unto others as you would have them do unto me. And we had to just keep saying, and then until we got to the end, it was like, wow. Jesus sat up on this cross and sacrificed his body. And then when me and Nanny got done, that was the last time we went. Like that, we did not, like, our parents saw this, and we were like, my mom was like, you're not going back. Like this, Michael, I think you've gotten what you need to get. Like, this is it. This is over for you. And so, like, for me, it's like when I look at the power. So I get back to my point about the sort of the power and the mysticism that surrounds this time of year. It just amazes me to, like, when you see movies like the one with Tom Hanks where he was he was going around because of and like searching behind that book, Da Vinci Code. Da Vinci Code. Yeah. So it's like, it's notions like that, because like if someone was to break the code, right, and to find out that Mother Mary actually didn't conceive Christ through sort of divine nature, that would blow the rooftop on everything. Everything. Everything would come. The Catholic Church would come crashing down. The Church of England. All of these big, these big modicums of sort of the religious, spheres that own the world. That's, so to speak, would just all come crashing down, and everybody would just go crazy. Nothing but chaos. Because you can only imagine. We feel this way about, obviously religion and things of that nature. But imagine the thumpers. Right, the Bible thumpers that, oh well, gays shouldn't be doing this and all that. You look at you look at John chapter 6 verse 7. All these people would go crazy if this should happen. So that's what that's essentially what this makes me think of when it comes to this time of year. It's just the sheer stranglehold that these religions have on the masses as a whole.
Yeah, that's the damn truth. People are like, hypnotized by it. But that's just religion in general.
Yes.
But that's the easy part. Like that's where I draw issue. It's not a big, I don't really give a damn, but like that's the part where I draw like a slight issue.
Right,
it's because
pause.
It's like people get, incensed about their religion, and I get that. You know what I mean? I totally get that. You have a right to believe what you want to believe and not be offended or attacked or quote unquote judged for that. You know what I mean? But people are going to judge whatever. But my issue is how the hell do you call yourself a Christian and a staunch believer in the Bible?
He's stupid.
but
Hey, he's stupid.
but
This guy's stupid.
he's like,
Oh
yo,
shit! I wasn't expecting that. Oh shit!
born, Christ wasn't born in December. He was born in the spring.
Oh Lord! Don't do it to him. Don't do
No,
it.
I'm just
Don't do it to
so
him. They might flag our podcast. You were
I'm just saying,
oh
but
shit.
that's my point. Like the contradiction and stuff. It's like,
Right.
hey, you want to celebrate the birth of Christ? All right, let's do it. When his real birthday would have been around, not in goddamn, Christmas. I mean, in December. But that's because they drew that from the pagans, and the pagans drew theirs from all the ancient religions that I was talking about. You know what I'm saying? So, they follow the sun, and that's just what it is. That's why it's in December. Around the winter solstice.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, anyone that knows the Bible and is going to sit there and try to quote verses to me should be the first one to know that Christmas, especially for like, all the glitz and glam that it's about, is a sham.
Mm-hmm.
And then to tell kids or indoctrinate kids and tell them, oh yeah, this is the Jesus was born, and you're just lying. You're lying to the damn kids, spreading falsities. And I'm not with that. That's where I draw issue.
Right.
If you're gonna say, oh, you know what, I believe in the Bible and this and that and that, and that, then you know what, then you better be celebrating Christmas and the goddamn springtime. And you know what, Saturday is your Sabbath and not Sunday. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm just saying. You know?
No, I'm with you, man. I think that's the big conversation I wanted to get to. I kind of wanted to ease into it because it is Christmas season, right? I don't want to be those guys that sort of pee all over the holidays. But essentially, like I wanted to have this conversation because it's something that sort of bugged me about how people move when it comes to religions and things of nature like Christmas. And I think people forget the insidious nature behind, religion in itself, right? This whole notion of, a whole forgetting that a whole people, right, when it comes to slaves and things of that nature, were literally brainwashed into thinking that, they would actually reach salvation by performing their slave-like duties. Uh, just to keep them on the whip is insane to me. And then people just sort of forget this. It's like they forget about the tools that religion has played in sort of shaping human society as time has gone on over the course of thousands of years. And I think it's like I feel like we've completely missed the point, because I feel like if the religious leaders of yesteryear would look at us now and how people have sort of warped and utilized and weaponized the nature of religion, they would be absolutely ashamed of where we've gone with this. They would be ashamed of the Catholic Church. That's to see all that gold and all of that awe, awe inspiring, to the point where even my mom was like, when I went to Italy, and I got to see the Vatican and all this other, and I'm just sitting there, I'm like, so like you're getting drawn up by that, but like, what were they doing for Africa? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, well, I'll tell you what they're doing for Africans, and I'm happy you point up. Like I said,
I'm sorry, but that's just what gets me sort of tripped up. It's like these people, like all that money that's sitting there, and last time I checked, if you're a real religious, leader, you should be poor. Like, relatively speaking, like you should not have money. Like you should be walking around, dirt poor. And anything you do make, any money you do make, should be going straight back to those less fortunate. Like you really should not have money.
Yeah, but man is flawed.
Absolutely.
Men are flawed. But to what you said before about the religion and stuff like that. So religion, well, to be specific, the Roman Catholic religion is really what catapulted the African slave trade. And that is because I forget the Pope name, but one of the popes, he was trying to like talk to the Spanish king and the Portuguese king to settle some disputes or whatever.
Right.
And pretty much told him, he said, whoever is not like one of us, whoever doesn't believe in our God, Mainly, they were talking about Africans. He was like, what if they're not with us, then they're not human, and you can do whatever you want with them.
Absolutely.
And that's coming from one of the popes, and that's what catapulted the slave trade. And I had a conversation via Facebook with somebody the other day explaining that when people talk about slavery, and I'll be quick on this because I want to get back to Christians. But when people talk about slavery, and they hear the word slavery, people say, "Oh yeah, Irish were slaves, and all these other different walks of people were slaves and stuff like that." Yeah, I mean it's false to a degree because were they enslaved? Yes, but people people only know about the African slave trade.
Right.
But so when they use the word slavery for other walks of people, they attribute the same things that the Americans went through, and the Africans, the first ones, they weren't considered quote unquote African Americans, but whatever. They didn't go through the same things.
Right.
That slavery back then was more like indentured servitude, where you would literally be a slave for a couple of years. You would work to pay off a debt or whatever, and then for the most part, you weren't brutalized. You had rights. You could even take your slave master to court over certain things if he was whatever.
That's why I say false. That's exactly why I say false. But no, I'm sorry, not to interrupt. But yeah, I think you're right on. You're right on.
Yeah. So it changed when the Pope made that decree, because then they just started getting bug wild. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
And then we all know after that. But it's disingenuous on a lot of people when they think that they did their adequate research and they didn't. And they say, "Oh well, no, they were a slave. Everyone was a slave at one point." Yeah, but not to the same degree. There's levels to this shit, and I'm not trying to say it like, "Oh well, we had it the worst." But yeah, we had it the worst. You know what I'm saying? And it's not even close.
Oh yeah,
it's not even close. But yeah. So I don't want to say too much on that. But yeah, the Pope, the leader of the Roman Catholic Church, is the one that was like pretty much, let's catapult this slave trade shit. Let's get it popping, son. And then the rest is history. And that's the Pope. So, people have to keep that in mind, especially when they celebrate these holidays. These false-ass holidays on top of it. And again, I know we're getting into that level of the conversation, but I want people to keep in mind that I'm not hating on if you're celebrating, and neither is Mike. We're just speaking truth right now.
Yeah, I think that's where I want to keep it, and I think when we have these conversations, it's simply just to make sure people are staying honest, right? I think what happens so much is that we get lost in the filth, farm, flow. That happens when you have conversations that are so touchy, like religion, which is why again I wanted to sort of ease into this, because I know we're going to touch some Bible thumping strands, which I'm absolutely fine with, because again, like I dare you. I dibbed on dare you. This conversation is not about how holy art thou. It's more so about, again, keeping it real at all times. And if you really want to, if you want to continue to sort of hide away from the historical sort of discrepancies and ineptitudes of the forefathers that came before you, as far as the Bible thumpers before you, it's just very interesting to me, how people can be like this, right, and then still treat their fellow human beings in such a way where it's like, are you really what are you really reading? You know what I mean? And this is why I don't get too tripped up on religion, because again, as you mentioned, Aaron, men are flawed, and men, women are flawed. So when we have these conversations about Christmas, right, and people are going, "Oh, I can't wait to get into this, this whole thing about gift giving and all this other stuff, and Jesus will be proud, and oh my God, I can't wait to," and it's like, Jesus wouldn't really give a fuck about Christmas. Bennett, sorry, excuse me for the blasphemy. I mean, not the blasphemy, but the cursing and mentioning Jesus' name. But I'm sorry, but if Jesus was to see this, like, he would be incredibly disappointed with how Christmas has gone. The fact that they even made a name out, like, you are literally, Moses 101, you are literally idealizing. You know what I mean? Like, and by doing so, you're taking attention away from God. You know what I mean? And I think that's something that, again, another conversation that I don't think people want to have in regards to, it's like, have we missed the point completely? When it comes to Christmas, like, I don't even think we should even be calling it. And I think that's something, a question that they even broached was, should we even keep calling it Christmas? Because again, the person behind this wouldn't even be a fan of this shit. So why do we even keep giving it to him as if it's to say like this is something that follow all the events that are recorded in Jesus's life. There's no notion that even suggests that he would be anywhere near okay with the carrying on of this sort of these activities. The immense gluttony of spending and people going broke for what?
Yeah.
You know, for what? For gifts that the kids and people are going to forget about in 3-4 months time once the new year passes. Like, come
Yeah.
on. Like, this, I think again, like we have completely fallen on. And I think this is why when I think about Christmas, I fall off I've fallen off that commercialized train that we've been talking about earlier, where it's like I don't get tripped up in the materialistic aspect of Christmas. You know what I mean? If I want to buy someone a gift, I'll do it at a time that's deemed fitting, and another day. You know, but I'm
Yeah.
not gonna go ahead and go crazy at going to Walmart, Target, or or Victoria's Secret or wherever you want to name a store. I'm not gonna go
Mm.
crazy. Yeah, I know, but I'm not gonna go crazy. I had to get something nice for myself. Wait, huh? But oh no, but, oh yeah, oh no, but, oh this is awkward. But there was a good sale. But I mean, I say this all to say, like I just I don't really, I think we've missed the bar completely, and the ancestors, and even the ones that even precede the Pope that you're talking about, Aaron. And I thank you for bringing that point because that's what leads to my overall notion of how we need to get back to the basics, right?
Mhm.
And I think we've strayed so far from the simple enjoy every day as if it's your last notion on life that it's become incredibly materialistic in this world. And because of that, we are losing substance by the day, by the hour, by the minute, by the second.
Mhm.
So I think that's something I think people should be really focusing more so on um, when it comes to Christmas. Focus on the sitting when you sit down on the couch. Like I know for me, I do this every day. Like I'll see my mom and I'll look at her as she's gotten older. I'll look at my sisters as they've gotten older. Like I'm actually trying to take pictures with my eyes. When we're sitting on the couch and try to take pictures of those moments, right? Because in I'm 30. I'm gonna be 30 this year. My little sister's gonna be 28. My mom's reaching 60. Like these I wasn't thinking about that 10-15 years ago.
Oh no, yeah.
So I feel like these things should be more so important. Someone's napping on the couch, you open the door, you see a car drive by. Like these are things people should be recompensing and taking into consideration outside of oh god, I can't wait to go get this new Buzz Lightyear toy for my kid. Now your kids are on the same commercialized train that you are. It's
Yeah.
just
Well, most
dangerous.
people just don't know how to live in general.
I
You know,
think
they
that's it.
yeah, most people don't have a purpose.
Right.
They're just literally like pawns or like sheep.
Yeah.
Not to sound those people are, oh, the sheeple, but like that's pretty much you're being herded around.
Mm-hmm.
You're not doing anything of your own free will and drive.
Right.
And when that's the case, you fall into that kind of cycle, and the next thing you know, your life is going by, and then you don't have those, like you said, those you didn't appreciate those memories in the moment, you know, like taking stock of it as it was passing on, like,
Absolutely.
yeah, like, we're older now, and I remember this, and then you juxtapose it in your mind and say, wow, and then and you just keep going like that, But like, again, people, they have to go out and just buy stuff to satisfy. More so, I believe it to be their wants and
Mm-hmm.
needs. I don't think they're actually doing it to satisfy anyone else's. I think it's more on the outer layer, it seems like a selfless deed,
Mm-hmm.
but on the inner level, I'm more than convinced that it's a selfish deed.
Right.
Because the motive, the reason behind it
Yes.
is for that of self gain. And I remember a couple years ago, I had a conversation with my wife about that, and I said because she's very giving, but I said to her, I said, like you're very giving, and no one can take that away from you. If you're giving, you're giving.
Right.
But what people can do is question the motive behind it.
Oh yeah.
If you're giving because you're selfless, and you know what that looks like, you just give somebody some shit, and that's it. No, not like, oh, well, how'd you like it? And then on all that, this, that, and the third. You just do it. You just do it. Nothing else matters. You just did it. But if you want to give, and then it always has to be like, oh well, always attached to something. That's not real giving. And that says that you're getting something out of the giving. More than the receiver's getting from getting whatever you're giving to them.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people live like that. I'm sure most don't even understand it, but that's just the reality. And for the listeners, you got to ask yourself: are you a giver, or are you giving to get something out of it? Do you give freely and truly? Because if not, you should change that and try to just, if you're gonna give, just give and don't have it attached to anything. Because when you attach things to gifts and stuff like that, I read this in a great book that I just read called The Go Giver. You attach things. Oh, you read that book?
No. I just was, in awe of the name of the book.
It's a great book. I recommend it. But anyway, so in the book they say, when you give, like I just said, you have to give freely, and you can't attach anything to it, because if you attach things to it, it doesn't make you a giver nor a friend. It makes you a creditor.
I like
so
that.
When you're a creditor, right? When's the last time you see people pay their credit card bill and say, "Hey, you know what? I'm gonna put a little something on top to help you out." You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Nah, they put a little something on top is to help themselves out to sever ties with the credit card company or whatever the case may be.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that but when you start a relationship space like that, and you have that part of the anatomy of the relationship, then people don't go out of their way to do or to give to you. It's always going to be attached with something, because that's how you started it. So you'll never get more from people, is what I'm saying. And I'm not saying you should give to get. No, I'm just saying you should be given anyway, and then you'll see that you'll get more by giving.
I like that. I mean, and I think that's something. And the reason why I like it is because that's something that I sort of I take all day, every day, which is why I'm not really a big fan of getting gifts myself, right? And also, when I do give gifts, right, that's when people are able to take it with that much more power, right? Because it's not something where I don't expect shit, right? I don't expect sexual favors. I don't expect a pat on the back. I don't expect oh my god, like all I'm looking for is to simply do something to create a sort of chain reaction in your day that allows for you to move even that much more positively, right? That's what I'm looking for by giving a gift, right? Not because it's and I don't even get too tripped up on all those different things, because it's you have to come back to the notion that you're talking about, that book was talking about. What is your why? And I think so many times when people sit back and they think about, I don't even want to say they sit back. I just think that people, when it's like clocking in, you look at Christmas time, December starts coming, November, Thanksgiving's over. Now you start stressing about the next thing, right? Oh God, what sales are going on? What does this person want? Like, and instead of it being something from the heart and being something with forethought and an actual care and devotion, it's just simply you're just checking off, something off a list. And and it's so easy to tell that, because it's more of like you spend more time thinking about I got you something, you know what I mean? So you can't say shit to me, you know what I'm saying? And instead of thinking about why I got this for you, and I think people are removing themselves so much from the enjoyment, because that's what I feel like Christmas, if we're going to make Christmas about anything, it should be about the non, and I'll even use that analogy or that reference that book uses. It should be a non-transactional sort of endeavor, right? And that's why even just having a Christmas day, I think is problematic, right? Because people stress so much to get to that day. What about all the other days in the year? You know what I mean? That exist. Why aren't we using that same sort of devotion and same sort of energy, to be able to take care and make sure people are happy? And this is why I think, and I'll use my sister as an example. She'll just randomly say, "Hey, I got this for you. I thought this would help you out a lot. I bought this for you." It'll just be random things. Oh, I know you have a necklace, but I know you don't have a pendant. I went and got a pendant for you, and it's not like she would do it on. It just so happens that there's better sales at a certain time of year, right? So
Mm-hmm.
she'll just do it at certain because she shops online a lot, but she'll do it out of just this fear of just saying, "Oh, I thought this would be something good for you, and I thought this would be something that would look nice on you or be helpful for you." That's it. That's just how she
Mm-hmm.
naturally is, and God bless her, and that's why you know even when I look between the gift giving of my sister and her, right, my other little sister is completely, you got to question. You got to be like, you're just using this as like, you're gonna just add this to a bucket list because when I yell at you about something, oh well, I got you this, and that for Christmas, and then you're gonna start holding shit against me,
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to, holding your love, or I should say your acts of kindness for hostage,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why I'm very weary about who I accept gifts from, because I know sometimes they come with a tag, and I'm not
Mm-hmm.
trying to play around with that where I have to now, every time I move or do anything, or if I want to question your actions or whatever, I got to worry about you, playing the, well, December 23rd, 2019, I bought you this. Like, what the
Yeah.
fuck does that have to do with
Predators.
anything? The fuck does that have to do with anything?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I think we need to get way more back into the true nature of not just Christmas, right? Because I think we've spoken in nausea about how we've seen that sort of worked, but just the nature of living,
Yeah.
right? Living day to day and enjoying each and every second, moment, hour, that comes along with taking a breath. This is why, like, at times,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, and I'll finish it with this. It's just, I think that when we look at how we, view our society, I think that's something we need to do more of, is just take a breath.
Yeah. Definitely. I couldn't agree more, man. Like you said, just take a breath, breathe in, breathe out, and just be happy to be alive. Be happy you woke up today.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because no day is promised. No day is promised. There's a lot of friends that between you and I we've lost throughout the years. Yeah,
Mm.
they were young, very, very young. We're still young. So just be thankful that you're still here. And that should be enough. But I think people need to audit themselves, i.e., recalibrate themselves more often than not. Humble themselves. That way, they're not out there just lost. They have a message. Maybe not a message, but they have purpose. At least they have purpose for themselves. You know what I'm saying? Whether or not someone else deems you as being purposeful, that's neither here nor there. As long as you have a purpose in yourself, then that's it. And like for instance, we do this podcast. We're on season 2. Well, I think we're like closing in on 30 episodes. Uh, it's not like we're freaking making money off this,
Mm-hmm.
but we. Well, I know I do it because I enjoy it.
Right.
I enjoy it, and it helps me every week or every other week. Again, like recalibrate myself, humble myself, and take a screenshot of my life in the moment, especially as it pertains in proximity with the topics that we're talking about. So, you know, again, we're not making money off this. I'm not. So obviously, we're not doing the money. Isn't the motive?
Correct.
Like little money is the motive.
Oh,
Fuck
he
with
did not.
me, ugly as coyote.
Oh, he finished it. Oh my god.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man. But
I can't.
anyway, money's not the motive, man. You know what I'm saying? So I do this because again, I like to do it, and it's also giving. I believe that we're giving out a lot of great information, a lot of great insight and perspective.
Mm-hmm.
That way, people don't have to make certain bad decisions, and they can avoid certain pitfalls. You know, and then hopefully pay it forward.
Mm.
That would be the best payment that you can ever give me
Oh
for
yeah.
anything. Listen to just pay it forward. Just take what you hear and apply it to your life if it's applicable, and then just do the same and let that trickle down.
I think that's a beautiful way of putting that together, and I think that's sort of with this year coming to coming to an end, I think that's something I would really want our viewers to understand is that, we at this point in time, it's not like we're collecting checks, right? It's not like we've sort of become, corporate. There's not a
Mhm.
corporate voice behind, these mics. We are essentially, when we put this together, it was with the simple goal of making sure that we get people to understand that life is not what it seems, right? And the way you're
Mhm.
living it just may not be, optimal to being able to enjoy it at its finest. And that just comes, and then you can enter with it whichever topic you've seen through seasons 1 and seasons 2. And I think that's where we've built a base, and I would hope that when when we make the Media Hall of Fame one day, I would hope
Mhm.
that people take a look back and say, these men were genuinely just, they genuinely just wanted people to start giving a fuck about how they move again each minute, every hour, and every second throughout their day. And if it means, why are you complaining about this, or why are you getting huffy and puffy about that, or are you really following issues dearly and truly when it comes to this, like, all these different topics all come back to, what are we really talking about here, right?
Mhm.
So when I kind of reflect back on, creating this, and I think this is our episode, our sort of our last episode of the year, of 2021. I'm sorry, 2020. And before I even get into that, I just want to give a real shout out to my mom. Her birthday is this week, so I'm gonna drop a clues bomb for
Yes.
my mom real quick. Bah, 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 bah. Yeah, that's right. We got that,
Happy birthday,
guys. Thank you.
Queen.
Thank you. Yes, to the queen, the Shaka Zulu warrior. But yes, no, don't let your kids watch that. But I suggest kids. It's one of those sad things. I suggest kids watch it, but I suggest they don't at the same time if they're easily able to throw up, because that shit fucked me up for a week. But that's neither here nor there. But I essentially, with this podcast, guys, and I hope that and I know we have, because I know we've gotten feedback from people throughout the time of doing these episodes, where people are thoroughly enjoyed with the takes that we have. And if they don't agree with our takes, then we go back and forth with them in a respectful manner, until they
Mhm.
at least understand what we were getting at with our what we were trying to say. And that's all that matters,
Mhm.
right? Is just coming to a simple understanding, and making sure that our voices reach you in a way where you can now sit back and go, you know what? I may not fully agree, but there's an aspect to
Mhm.
that I can take with it, and sort of move forward as a result. And if you can do that, if we can have that effect, for me personally,
Mhm.
oh, we've won. So that's how I see winning with this podcast. It's sort of
Oh
changing
yeah.
thought. That's all that I think about. It's just changing people's thought, and I feel like that the more consistent and with our voices and getting this out there and our energy, we will. There's no doubt that we'll reach new heights in 2021. But
Oh yeah. I had
I'm
no
happy.
doubt.
I'm certainly happy about this podcast and where we are. So when I reflect back on it, I can't say anything but good things. It's been an amazing ride so far.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah. It's been a great ride. Even before it even started, when we were trying to figure out ways to do a podcast, from
Jesus.
then to now and to where we're going to be. And a recap of the year, for the most part, for me, is obviously for most people, this year's been freaking absolutely insane.
Lord,
you know,
I
uh,
couldn't second that.
but yeah, it started with Kobe. Kobe, they took my man Kobe out,
Jesus.
and then it just like kept going down from there. But with that being said, I I did get married this year, so
Woo!
that's a
Drop a
beautiful
clues
thing.
bomb for
I
wedding time.
yeah.
Oh, okay, I don't know if we got that sound in the thing. All right.
Uh,
Shit.
drop the nuke. No, I'm joking.
Yo. No, I gotta go searching for this shit. Oh.
so anyway, so yeah, I did get married. Haven't had the wedding ceremony because obviously, um, Governor Phil Murphy. But
Yeah. Yeah.
so haven't had the ceremony yet. But one day soon that'll happen. And also, found out this year I'm going to be a father. So
Woo!
2020
We
maybe.
got clues bombs dropping
So
all over. Blah, blah, blah. Woo! Boom.
yeah.
Woo!
So yeah, we're thankful, just to be alive again. Even back to what we were just saying, even how crazy this year has been, just the fact that you're still alive with all the craziness is a blessing. And if you can't find appreciation in that, to put a goddamn smile on your face, no matter what's going on, because I guarantee you, someone's going through some worse shit.
Right.
Like, just, you got to get over yourself. You know what I'm saying? Humble yourself, get the fuck over yourself, and keep it moving, keep it pushing. As long as you have a purpose in life and you're moving with a purpose, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. So yeah, for plans for next year, obviously we wish to, we're definitely going to keep, we'll continue with the podcast. We're going to try to expand it. We already have the YouTube page up. The link is on the Instagram page. So you can, if you're not following our Instagram page, you can follow that. That's M.A.S We have the same profile photo that we have on Spotify, on Instagram, so that way you can tell which one it is. Give us a follow. We'll definitely follow you back. That way you can message us, comment on our posts, and stay up to date with what's going on. And again, you can click the link on the Instagram to go to the YouTube page, where we have some episodes there, for people that prefer YouTube as opposed to other streaming outlets. And then hopefully by sometime in 2021, we'll have video coverage as well. So that way, the YouTube channel will have videos. You can see us, and we're definitely going to bring on a guest at some point during 2021. Who's it going to be? I don't know. How about you comment, like, and subscribe?
Hey, hey, thank you for that. Actually, that was a great, a quick round call for to finish it off. And just to add on to the video portion, we are. The YouTube page, guys, I'm really proud of where we're at with it, because I know when we initially put this together, we were like, we got to get on YouTube and all that. So the fact that we even have episodes on there at this point is a huge blessing. And as Aaron mentioned, video coverage. We really want to blow this YouTube up, whether it be reactions to crazy. I kind of see this being like a sort of seeing me and Aaron and others at M.A.S Media sort of taking this and sort of being the conduits as to which we react to all different things that are going on in the social hemisphere, political, whatever, you name it. I sort of wanted to get it to that point, right? Obviously still do podcasts and still have podcast episodes, but also sort of still expand our reach through way of visually letting you guys see us, because we are some handsome gentlemen, no homo. And I definitely want you guys to put a face to the angelic voices that you guys hear each week, as well as to give you guys some of our no holds bar banter and humor alongside that. So YouTube is in construction, as far as we are looking to expand it mightily and tremendously throughout the course of 2021, and I can't wait, and I look forward to getting to the drawing board, and obviously letting some of this COVID-19 mess, kind of subside just a little bit, so that way we can at least get to videoing our interactions with one another, because I'm sure you guys would enjoy that. I know people have been asking for it. All right. Anything else before I let our viewers go for 2020? For 2020?
Nah, man, just. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Kwanzaa.
The disrespect.
But celebrate what how you guys celebrate. But yeah, Happy Holidays to everybody. Happy, safe holidays.
Yes.
Have a Happy New Year. Don't do anything crazy. Remember, you can do your part. Stay 6 feet apart.
Ooh. I'm gonna finish with that on that one, man. All right, y'all.
Are you sure about that?